A lot of people know me because of my I Want Off Mr. Golang's Wild Ride article from 2020 and its 2022 follow-up, Lies We Tell Ourselves to Keep Using Golang. As a result, they assume that I'm the patron saint of Go haters and that I would only have bad things to say about it. The truth is, I had some things to say about it back then, and there was already so much content praising the good sides of Go that I didn't feel like I had a personal duty to balance it out. Go is not my favorite language, but at least it's memory safe. I wish I could use the same tooling on it as I do on C, C++ and Rust software, but they have developed a lot of tooling of their own and some of it is really good. Today still, it's easier to find deadlocks in a Go web service than it is in an equivalent Rust code base. But it's made by Google. So, predictably, when they put forward a proposal for transparent telemetry, meaning that some Go tools like the compiler, the language server, etc. would report some data back to Google for analysis, people lost their freaking minds. And I'm here to tell you that the people are wrong, and that this is why we cannot have nice things. Pretty much everyone has started doing data collection. We are, after all, in the information age, with caveats. We don't live in the kind of world where breaking news alters the course of history anymore. We make movies and TV shows where that happens, but that's more wish fulfillment fantasy. We do, however, live in the kind of world where massive amounts of personal data are collected and can be used to target political ads at very specific audiences, and that can influence the outcome of elections.
Today's video is sponsored by Cambridge Analytica.
One thing I've heard a lot in that area is that data is radioactive. If you're not actually plotting some evil plan, you want to be very careful about what's collected, how it's stored and analyzed, how it's disposed of, etc. For instance, a while ago, the French National Electric Company started rolling out smart energy meters. Previously, a worker had to come to your home and note down the numbers displayed on your electromechanical meter, perhaps once a year. So they started replacing those with smart meters that can report energy usage by the minute over a mobile network connection, so no one ever has to come visit your home. Seems like a plus to me. And the people freaked out. For the wrong reasons. They were like, mobile networks, you say, that's radio waves. We're all gonna get sick. I heard it on the radio. And others said, but that means we'll need to throw out all the old meters. It's gonna be an ecological disaster. And others were concerned about privacy. They didn't know exactly how it could be abused, but just in case they really wanted to know what was collected, if it was encrypted, how long they kept it, and they were right. Because one day someone at the electric company looked at their dataset and went, crap, we forgot about Ramadan. A time of the year where most of friends lives business as usual, getting up in the morning, making breakfast, then later lunch, eventually dinner, maybe a movie and go to bed. Except some people who follow Ramadan and who for that period of time only eat from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. roughly, which definitely shows on power usage charts, which means the electric company had accidentally built a comprehensive list of Muslim households, complete with name and address. They didn't mean to, but they had the data, and by that point it was too late. So, data is radioactive, and it behooves any company who collects it to treat it with respect and extreme care. That's the case against data collection altogether. All that being said, I think the opt-out version of Go telemetry was a good idea, and I'm sorry to see it go. First, if you read the proposal, you'll notice that it is very thoughtful. It lists explicitly what would and would not be collected. It's intentional about it being total event counts over a full week, not any kind of time-ordered event trace. It takes advantage of sampling to reduce the amount of data that needs to be sent. You can tell it was written by someone who, first of all, understands the challenges of data collection and also was bracing for a lot of backlash from the community. The proposal also explained why do telemetry at all and not just bug reports. Several times, bugs were introduced and went unnoticed for years, or features were removed after consulting the community, and immediately as the release went out, someone finally and loudly complained that it was gone. Telemetry would solve that. But the amount of care put into the proposal didn't matter, because for a lot of people, it was Google versus the open source community. Plus, data collection bad, right? I'm trying to organize my thoughts about this because there's a lot about this that rubs me the wrong way. I am generally angry at technology bad.
Today's video is sponsored by Black Mirror.
A lot of it is bad, but a lot of it is also very, very good. So which part are we talking about? Let's get specific. Most of the people opposed to the smart energy meters weren't asking the right questions. They were just generally wary of progress and change. And I feel like not only does that prevent us from advancing as a society, it also makes us worse at spotting actual threats. We need tech literacy. We need capitalism literacy. We need people to understand the world they live in better. So I'm going to start listing things I need you to understand. I need you to understand that the free software / open source movement has a complicated history. In fact, just that slash there is going to get me in trouble. But essentially, it views itself now as a bunch of enthusiasts that are creating their own tools that anybody can contribute to, and that shields them from the capitalist nonsense going on around them. In their mind, they're living in a commune and everyone's doing their part, and anyone can do anything, and it's meritocracy, and everybody gets along, and we don't need to get political, and it's perfect. Except it's not. It's a bottomless pit of unpaid work and unchecked privilege and turf wars, and the dynamics at scale of this is not everyone's contributing in their own way. It's largely only the things that are actively being used by big companies are maintained reasonably well, if you're lucky, and the vast majority of participants in open source only consume. Also, everyone's burned out. And then on the other side, we have big companies, which already, it's not the other side, it's a part of open source. If you look at the top contributors for the Linux kernel version 5.10, by lines changed, you'll see Intel at 12.6%, Huawei at 5.3%, Google at 5.1%, and among others, Facebook, AMD, IBM, Oracle, and NVIDIA. But the Mastodon client I use is made by a friend at the Köln hackerspace. Cool! What did they use to make the client? You can't extricate yourself from the moral complications of the world just because you made yourself a nice little garden. That garden exists within the world. You can't opt out of the world. If I see one comment about the Amish, I'm joining them. Just a warning. And that's why people who have convictions and principles and stuff still go work at big companies. If you want to do good, you need the means to do so. If you want to do great things, you need to learn the trade somewhere. So the thing I need you to understand about big companies is that they're made of people and teams that have different missions, sometimes even conflicting ones. Of course, those companies do have ulterior motives. If you look at the early Chrome marketing materials, it's presenting itself as a better, faster, smaller browser. No strings attached. But as it gained market share, it would be impossible for a company not to notice that, wow, this could let us monitor everything. They didn't just live stream your open tabs to a central server or something, but they did start pushing you to log into Chrome with your Google account, so your bookmarks and browsing history is synchronized across devices, and it's really convenient. And they pushed website owners to add login with Google because it used to be hard to create fake or bot Gmail accounts, so on top of not having to deal with user credentials yourselves, at some point it was also a guarantee that you had actual humans using your website. And with all that and 100 other efforts, they were able to gather more than enough information to do what they want to do, which is sell ads. Ads are 80% of Google's revenue. That's what they do. That's why they do maps. That's why they bought YouTube in 2006. That is legitimately scary. But here's the thing. They're not really hiding that. They don't broadcast their strategic meetings, but for legal reasons, a lot of what they do happens out in the open. Big companies don't really like breaking the law. They would much rather change the law. With all that in mind, let's think about Go telemetry again. If you're thinking, it's Google, they're going to steal my data, ask yourselves, what is there left to steal? They already have more than they know what to do with on almost everyone.
This video is sponsored by Gmail.
The reason they're making the Go language in the first place is to stop their engineers from writing so much C++. They're pushing it so much so that they have people to hire to keep building their ad machine. They don't have any incentive to make it worse. They're very clearly just trying to make it better. And maybe I'm just weird that way, but I find it easier to trust an organization that says, yes, we do have an evil plan, but that thing does not fit in it. If you're going to go around assigning intention, you have to establish motive. An organization is never evil just for the sake of being evil. That's just sloppy writing. Even Bond villains have more motivation than that most of the time. But the people have spoken, and Go telemetry will not be opt-out, it will be opt-in. Instead of getting a representative sample of Go's real-world use, the team will be looking at a heavily biased dataset comprised only of people who know that it exists, know how to turn it on, have gone through the 5 stages of understanding why it's for the best, and remembered or cared enough to turn it on. And if you ask me to draw a Venn diagram of people who are currently reporting bugs against Go and people who are going to opt into Go telemetry, I would draw a circle. Everyone else who didn't opt into telemetry will continue to expect the Go toolchain to be perfect on every point release without contributing anything back whatsoever and get very, very angry online when it breaks. Now that's what I call open source. This video is sponsored by Being a Tryhard. This video is sponsored by Dried Flowers. This video is sponsored by coffee. This video is sponsored by I would rather write a script and shoot it than edit the video I've already shot. This video is sponsored by the feeling you get when you go and grab that last piece of chocolate, but there's no chocolate left. This video is sponsored by my neighbors who can't shut the f up when I'm recording a video apparently. This video is sponsored by nobody. Nobody wanted to touch that. This video is sponsored by sleep deprivation. Are you finding it too easy to string a coherent sentence together? Are you staying calm in the face of unpredictable events happening in your life? Then sleep deprivation may be just the thing you need. For the low price of not getting a complete night of sleep for weeks in a row, you could be getting all the effects of getting drunks, including blackouts. Talk to your doctor today to see if sleep deprivation is right for you.